Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. Oops. Sorry about that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. We wanted to continue um, with the lessons that we've taken from the Bhagavad Gita, just sort of revising them chapter by chapter. And we are now on the 16th chapter, which is entitled The Divine and Demoniac Natures. So before we start, I wanted to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can share something and learn something which will please the divine couple, Radha Krishna, the divine brothers, Krishna Balaram, and Gaunitai, and our Guru Parampara. Oh, yeah, thank you. So, what were the lessons from the 16th chapter? This is really a tough chapter in one sense because Krishna is exposing us, the demoniac qualities. He describes the divine qualities very quickly, and then he focuses on the demoniac qualities. Because so far he has explained to Arjuna a few times the good qualities, the devotee qualities that he likes. But now he's describing the demoniac qualities so that we become aware of our downfalls. So the lesson to learn from the first theme, there's 3 themes in this chapter. And the lesson to learn from the first is to recognize our weaknesses and to use them to our advantage. We have in this world a lot of challenges, and we are very weak by nature, especially in the age of Kali Yuga. Lust, anger, greed really does have a huge impact on our psyche, and these are weaknesses which are very, very difficult to overcome. So how do we use them to our advantage, let alone recognize them in the first place? Well, we do know we have them. We have these lust, anger, greed, lust for material desires, material things, anger if we don't get them, get frustrated, and that frustration leads to anger. And greed, when we get something, it's never enough. We always want more. What was that saying? There's enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. So recognizing that and the other things that Krishna describes as demoniac: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance. These are all qualities that belong to the demoniac nature. So the way we would use those to our advantage is to pray to the Lord that we are very, very weak. And because we're so weak, we're so fallible that we deserve your mercy first. We are entitled to your mercy the first. And we will make the effort to gain your mercy by fervently praying to you with our hearts that we are in a really weak, delicate position. And my dear Lord, if you cannot help us, then we have no hope. You are our only hope. So this is where we recognize our weakness, our problems, our anger within us, the lust, the greed, but we don't get depressed by that because that's inherent in all of us. Don't get so depressed that we don't do anything, but those weaknesses, we use them as a platform to pray to the Lord earnestly, pray to the Lord with full heart, that my dear Lord, this is our position. We are very weak. I am very weak. And you are the only hope that I have. So this is where we use our weakness as an advantage, because we can actually pray with our hearts to the Lord. It's not superficial. It's an actual position that we are in. And he will listen to our prayers because they will come from our heart. So that's the first point. And that's a really fast track way of getting the mercy of the Lord. It's not that we're making something up to get the mercy of the Lord. We really are in this weakened position. So if we can recognize that and then use that by means of our heartfelt prayers to the Lord, then we will make very fast progress towards the Lord, definitely. Of course, second lesson is we do need to curb this demon that is within us. Because Krishna does explain the activities, the mentality, and the qualities of one who has these demoniac propensities. That very famous verse, and I like to read it because it reminds me of myself. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, I will gain more according to my schemes. So much more, so much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything, I am the enjoyer, I am perfect, powerful, happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall rejoice, I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. So this mentality is pretty much in all of us, because this is the original reason why we're here, because we wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. We were seeing how much he was being worshipped and enjoying, and we had some envy towards that. We wanted to experience that what the Lord is experiencing. So this verse summarizes in many ways our condition. So we need to attempt to curb this demon within us. So we have to make some effort. It's not easy, no doubt about it, but we have to make an effort. And if the Lord sees us making an effort, just like he saw Mother Yashoda making such a wonderful effort to tie him up, and of course nobody can tie up the Lord unless he allows it, sanctions it. So when he sees our effort as well to try to improve ourselves, then he will also reciprocate and assist us in that mission. So curb the demon within us. That's a second lesson, very important lesson. The third one is, that's a really, really nice one. This is where Krishna is saying, it's the last few verses of the 16th chapter. He's describing how this lust, anger, and greed are three qualities that will lead one to hell. And he describes what the hellish planets are like and how to avoid the hellish planets by recommending a regulated lifestyle. So we transform ourselves from selfishness to selflessness, from lust to love, and from quarrel to cooperation. So how do we avoid these three gates to hell? One very powerful way is by thanking God for everything. Even the negative things, the inauspicious things that are happening in our life, we thank the Lord for them. We went through that example of, I can't remember if it was a crow or a bird, who was in such a horrible crow position in the desert, really struggling with life. And, he was meant to suffer for like 7 years. And an angel gave the advice somehow to him, just be thankful for everything. So whenever he didn't have any water, he'd thank the Lord. Whenever he'd fall down and hurt himself, he'd thank the Lord. Mostly it was bad things that were happening to him, but he was always thanking the Lord, not in a sarcastic way, in a genuine way. Thank you, my dear Lord. And we can also do the same. If something bad happens to us, thank you, my dear Lord. This karma that I've done to deserve this punishment is now finished. I don't have to worry about this anymore. Or I was meant to suffer a lot more, and you've reduced the suffering just a little bit. So thank you, my dear Lord. So thanking him for everything, and definitely thanking him for the wonderful gifts he gives us in our lives, for sure. If we don't thank him for that, then really we are ungrateful. But even those things which happen, these gifts which are unwanted, we see them as Krishna's love bites. If we see them as Krishna's love bites, then our mood, our mentality towards negative energy around us will change. And having this positive energy will help us avoid lust, anger, and greed. So this is, again, a very powerful lesson to take from this 16th chapter. It is a tough chapter. It's a tough chapter because it certainly reminds us of our qualities. But Krishna has very kindly explained those qualities so we can see look ourselves in the mirror and understand where we are. And he also gives the way of how to overcome these demoniac qualities, demoniac nature. So this is a 16th chapter. Very, very important chapter for our Krishna development in Krishna consciousness. Okay, then we can look at 17. Anybody with any comments? Welcome to make any comments at this stage. Okay, 17th chapter is quite a lot, actually. It's 5 lessons. And this is a chapter which talks about the divisions of faith according to the 3 modes of material nature. And initially, Krishna describes how one needs faith. One has to have some faith according to the modes of material nature acquired by the embodied soul. One's faith can be of 3 types: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now, the lesson that we take from, and we have to have faith to live in this world, right? We have to have faith that we're going to wake up in the morning after we go to sleep at night. We have to have faith that we can cross the road and not be run over. Have to have faith in the traffic light system when we're driving, that we're not going to get smashed by another car who runs through the red light. So much faith we put in this world, but yet somehow people find it difficult to find any faith to place into the Supreme Lord or trust in the Lord. Anyway, the lesson from this particular theme of the Gita was that we should try to follow the scriptures. Many people, they have so many opinions. I think this, I think that. And their opinion may be of some value to them and their near and dear ones, but are those opinions in accordance with the scriptures? Probably generally not, because if one doesn't know the scriptures, then how can one formulate an opinion which correlates with the scriptures? So important to follow the scriptures, which means one has to know the scriptures, know the rules and the regulations of the scriptures. So if we're speaking simply out of our mental speculation, then we may be going down the wrong route. We may not be following what scriptures say. So often we do come across people, I think that God is like this, or this world should be like this, or the universe is having such a big impact on us. Where are these comments coming from? There's just mental speculation. So if we take away the I think, and if we've replaced that with this is what the scriptures say, then we will be properly placed. We will have some position of reality, or even perhaps you could call it authority, although I don't want to say authority because we don't want to use the scriptures as a weapon, but we want to use the scriptures to ensure that our thinking, our actions is in the right direction. So one should try to follow the scriptures. Very, very important. Read the scriptures, understand the scriptures, and accept the scriptures with great faith. And then follow the scriptures, which come naturally from that. That was the first lesson. Second, this is where Krishna talks about foods which are in the three different modes, isn't he? He talks about goodness, passion, ignorance, and he talks about how food which is fatty, juicy, tasty, looks good, wholesome, pleasing to the heart, that's food in the mode of goodness. And doctors always get worried when we say fatty, but this is good fat, good cholesterol. And then foods in the mode of passion, pungent and hot and too bitter, too sour, too salty, too dry, too burning. That's regarded to be in a mode of passion. And generally, we find, well, not generally, sometimes we find that our Bharatiya cooking sometimes a little bit too much masala, too much spice, too much, too bitter, too salty. So we have to be a little careful by cooking in the mode of goodness, because we want to offer this food to the Supreme Lord, this bhoga, so that he accepts it, he becomes pleased by our devotion. And food that is prepared more than 3 hours and it's tasteless and it's decomposed, putrid, Krishna says, untouchable. That's meat, fish, eggs, onion, garlic, mushrooms. They can be classified as, onion and garlic can be classified as passion, but actually some of our acharyas classify them as ignorance, same category as meat. So we want to cook fresh food, organic food, avoid onion, garlic, and mushrooms. I think that's, generally that's the Vaishnava tradition anyway. So hopefully everybody's following that tradition anyway. And then Krishna talks about different types of austerities in this, in the Bhagavad Gita. He talks about austerity in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. Ignorance especially, he said, is hurting not just to the person who's doing this austerity, but also to the super soul within that person. Mm-hmm. So our austerities need to be very tempered. And Prabhupada used to say that our austerity is observing Ekadashi in Kali Yuga. So Ekadashi is something that we do try getting up early, doing the rounds. That's right. They're all sort of, but they shouldn't be austerity. They should be seen as pleasure. Our chanting should be we should try to get it to a stage where we actually relishing that time when it comes to chant. But Ekadasi is where you're trying to deny yourself prasadam, and you want to focus on the Supreme Lord. So that can be a little bit challenging sometimes. So, and now the austerity coming up, where we could do some very nice austerities, is Purushottam Mass. Krishna becomes pleased with vratas that are fulfilled in this Purushottam Mass. He even goes to the extent of saying that karma can be destroyed, bad karma can be destroyed by performing these austerities in Purushottam Mass. Generally, that is not something that is available, because whatever karma you've done it, and you're going to have to suffer for it. But it looks like in Purushottam Mass, if we do vratas, if we do some austerities, if we do some activities to please the Supreme Lord, more bhakti, more intensity of bhakti, then that can actually even reverse some of the karmic reactions that we're going to face for some things we've done in the past. So very, very nice opportunity we have on Friday onwards. I hope that's the same in all parts of the world. I'm not sure if...
This is the day after.
Okay. Fourth lesson, Krishna explains about charity, how one gives charity. Then there's three types. One are done out of duty, at the right time, at the right place, to the right person. Moral goodness. If one does charity to get something back in return, then that's going to be regarded to be charity in the mode of passion. And the final one is where we give charity to an unworthy person at an unworthy time, at a wrong time, and at an unworthy place. So that is regarded to be charity in the mode of ignorance. So we, by nature, especially if one is following some sort of cultured life, are keen to help others and give some charity, especially when we see somebody needy. The heart melts. So it's a very good thing to do, but we should be careful how we do that. If we give somebody some, let's take food as the best example. Somebody's hungry, we give them food. That's great. It's good charity. Of course, as long as there's no meat, fish, or eggs. But that giving in the mode of goodness will be still binding us to this world. So it's a good thing to do. But there's a reaction that will come from that. A good reaction. But whether it's a good reaction or a bad reaction, whether we have handcuffs which are made of gold or iron, it's still handcuffs. We're still stuck in this world. So we want to do activities which will not bind us to this world. We want to do activities which will are regarded as transcendental activities. And that's very easy, very possible to do, especially with food, because if somebody is hungry, is wanting some food, one can give them prasadam. And it can be a very, very easy thing to do, even on the streets. One can take some fruit with you, and that fruit can be offered to the Lord. Today I went to the market, and I saw some people who were, wanting food. So I purposely bought some extra apples because I knew they were there. And when I walked back, I offered the apples in my mind to the Lord, begging him that this is not the right way to offer you, but under the circumstances, please accept this offering. And then giving those to those people. So nobody likes to see somebody hungry. So we can give prasad. You can donate for Food for Life. We're trying to do something in Purushottam Mass where we can feed about, how many people is it? 60, 70 people who really do need that help, who are homeless. So we should try to endeavor to do something. And if you can't get physically involved, you can help in many other ways. You can publicize what is happening, you can donate towards it. So many different ways one can participate. It doesn't have to be the physical act of giving prasad. And then the fifth lesson from this chapter is Om Tat Sat, which is what Krishna is saying the yogis chant before they do any Vedic sacrifices. So Om is what we focused on. Om is, like we were discussing yesterday, such an important sound vibration. Sometimes we dismiss it as representing the impersonal aspect of the Lord. But actually, that's not what Om is. And Krishna describes himself as represented by Om in the Bhagavad Gita. And he describes Om three or four different places in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's pretty important sound vibration. So we shouldn't, we should understand that Om actually refers to Radha and Krishna. And also some commentators, some of our acharyas say AUM. I think A is Krishna, U Radha, and M is the soul, us. So it's all of us. It's quite interesting. Om. Very, very interesting. And one thing I came across, which I forgot to add, I was mentioning it the other day on Saturday, how Krishna's most beloved chants Om all the time, right? Go Mata, Om, always chanting Om early morning. Om, please milk me. Take me to the forest. I need some grass. Always chanting Om day and night. And so fortunate. That's why Krishna loves Gomata so much, because she's always vibrating this sound vibration. But apart from that, she's giving us nectar. Every part of her is nectar. So Om is good sound vibration to understand that it's not referring to the impersonal aspect of the Lord. It is actually the Supreme Lord. But of course, in Kali Yuga, we've been given the Maha Mantra as the prescribed method of actually going back to home, back to Godhead. So we don't necessarily chant Om, but when we do yoga, I must admit, when I go to schools, we chant Om a lot. It's really nice. The children.
Mindfulness.
Sorry?
For mindfulness.
For mindfulness, yeah. We chant the Maha Mantra as well, but Om, the children take to very quickly because it's so simple, so easy. And we do yoga with them. So they from a young age get used to the idea of, as Jenny just said, mindfulness or being in the moment. So it's nice to know this, because before I had this conception that Om is simply referring to the impersonal aspect of the Lord. But actually, I've changed that opinion completely. Okay, so chapter 18 is quite a lot, so I don't want to rush through it. If we can just finish it tomorrow. And perhaps tomorrow, I would quite like devotees to give an idea, I suppose, of their realizations from the Bhagavad Gita, from what we've done. I think we've spent about 46 or 47 sessions on the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm sure devotees have got a lot out of it. I certainly have got a lot out of it, more than I ever thought I would. So I would just like to hear some practical things, perhaps, that it has impacted devotees' lives, if you want to share. Madhusan Babu, would you like to share your experiences?
Sorry, Haribol, wait a minute. Let me get my bearings. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, been listening and doing one or two things, but yeah, it's important that these lessons again, where, let me just get the, yeah, 16, 17, 8, 12. You've done 16 and 17, isn't it, today?
Yes, that's right.
So, working kind of backwards, faith in the Supreme is essential. So quite rightly, having faith, we have faith in everything, and that the sun will rise, and, the pilot, if I'm flying and I want to go somewhere, the pilot is well qualified and trained, and he's not going to get 1 or 2 degrees out. Otherwise, instead of going to New York, you're going to end up that 1 or 2 degrees can become 15, 20, 30 degrees. Before you know it, the destination is somewhere else, So like that, we have faith that, everybody, but that knowledge is also essential to have people qualified around you. And but in the same way, when we are on this spiritual journey, we have to have faith in the people. And of course, we want to know our position in life. For example, if I was in the, like I'm in the center of England here, but to know my exact position, I need to refer to 3 points, which is, longitude, latitude, and altitude. So I know exactly where I'm positioned. But in the spiritual life, it's also the same, Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, the 3 references, we have to make. So having faith in the Supreme, having faith in the Shastras, having faith in the Sadhus, in cross-reference, and we have to use our intelligence, obviously, and not just fall for somebody and then that's it, and they don't have any other references, and they're just speculating and producing their own theories. So that's important, So that lesson is obviously having faith in the Supreme Lord. He, we have to have faith in that, because he's the one who's going to provide the sunshine tomorrow and in the morning, and there will be food. I mean, ants are being provided by food, and so in that way, we have faith. No one likes to see someone hungry, so we can obviously donate prasad. So that's good, because we, obviously there are so many people now at the moment suffering, and we've just gone to Shraddha as well, and we don't even know that our previous ancestors. And listening to that journey of the soul made me realize that if you are in the courtyard of Yamraj or in a Pitrulok stuck somewhere, even the Yamrajas, they're taking you, Yamadutas are taking you there, like prison guards or something like that. They also get frustrated and angry if there is no food, but there is subtle kind of energy still necessary for all that. So we've got to offer not just people suffering, going hungry in front of us, but even our ancestors. And so we do Shraddha, offerings there, and offering prasad at that time is also important. And the month of Purushottam coming up, we'll be able to do that. So our austerity in the age of Kali is to observe the Ekadashi. Yeah. You can do so many other tapasyas and fasting, but in Kali Yuga, observing Ekadashi is the most important. And just the Ekadashi just went, the last Ekadashi, and reading the story of that, it just reflected how, Narad Muni was telling the king that he's your father was in Yamraj's court, and I saw him there, and he asked me to give you a message. That's the story, if you read that Ekadashi story. And Krishna is telling Maharaj Yudhishthira that, this is what happened to the king while he was on the planet, and then he hadn't made any offerings to his father. So those offerings were necessary. But the message was given. So that just shows that, these things are there. The Yamraj's court is there. We've talked about the Akashic record. The references are made to it. And then future destinations are decided by Yamraj and his court. And there's a big long, I'm sure there must be a very long queue, wait around there. Cooked fresh, that's very easy to do, because we have to remain healthy and offer good, nice food. So organic food is better than food which is full of pesticides and all that. But what can we do? That's what's available. Then we have to go with sometime, but trying to go with organic food is much healthier. A lot of people are becoming vegans and health conscious, and years ago, just there was no question, but certainly the consciousness is changing a bit, thanks to Prabhupada, and Krishna consciousness. It's another dimension added on this planet, which has brought about a shift in consciousness in so many people. So I think that's important. And then again, 16, again, avoiding the three gates of hell, lust, anger, greed. No point dwelling in anger a lot, because that's just the energy that we consume of ourselves. Anger is an energy. It's just not you. When you say, I am angry, that means you're not angry. You just got the anger energy within you, and that you can let go of it, if you wanted to. There are quite a few therapeutic sessions that you can do with some therapists and psychologists, where anger management is one of those things. People can be put onto that order. You need to go on an anger management course, mate. And there's so many people are in that anger mode all the time. And anger is so much energy that, it can bring about, some anger. Some people, I know some people, I've come across young boys, out of anger, they've just killed somebody, and they don't regret it. You say, well, that guy deserved it, And then you say, well, but you're so angry. What are you angry about for in life? And then they have to go on to anger management. Then they realize that I was so taken over by the energy of anger. In the same way, pride, envy, all these are also energies, and they can just take over and control our personalities. And that's why this is necessary, to kill the demon within us. And that's why, Guru Maharaj's name is Madhusudan. Madhusudan, Krishna's name is Madhu, killer of the demon Madhu, the mind, the demon mind, which is dangerous. So Madhusudan is Krishna is a killer of the demon Madhu.
Nice point.
And recognize our weaknesses. We are weak, we have to be humble and request help when we need it. Draupadi wanted help when she needed it, and then she surrendered. And by examples of other great devotees, we can understand, that we are in this predicament here in the material world for whatever reason, our karma and all that. But fortunately, we got a good birth in an auspicious or a pious family or whatever reasons, but at least we are here and we are talking about Krishna on this platform. And a wonderful devotee like Nabi has set up these sessions, and we are discussing. And thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a combined effort. You're a very big part of it. So thank you.
So thank you. So I hope that kind of helps. But again, it's reviewing these lessons makes us realize, where we are and what we need to do, and prepare and mold our life and spend our time and design our day in such a way that each day is better for us in association with devotees, with Shastras, and of course with the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Whenever we are chanting, Krishna is there with us. He's associating with us. We're not alone. I like that pray. When we do the Mangalacharan, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu. You are the only Dina Bandhu. I don't have many good lot of friends, but you are the only dearest friend, because you do care for me though. There are friends, I've got a few friends, and sometimes I have to be associating with them, and then they're all bickering and arguing, at times, they don't get along with each other, and then egos get in the way. And so, you have to try and find your own little, nice that COVID has brought about this sense of be in your bubble, nice. I imagine a nice crystalline, field around me, and the negative things just bounce off, and only positive things enter into my life. And there's a filter there as well. And that crystal bubble is, whoever I want to invite, at least, but I want to be happy in that, first of all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Hare Krishna. Anybody like to ask any questions or make any comments, any realizations you'd like to share, maybe about the lessons? Indulekha Mataji, would you like to share anything? She might be cooking here. Oh.
That was a nice bhajan, Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagar. One of my favorite bhajans, one of the learned, and Karuna Bandar did a wonderful job going through that bhajan again.
Rianch,
very nice. We should do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do that. Rianch is actually learning that.
He's very enthusiastic, he's really keen. So once he's learned that, it will be lovely to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's picking it up nicely. He's picking up a lot very nicely, actually. Amazing.
Yeah.
Karuna Bandar, anything you'd like to share?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's good to thank Lord Krishna for everything. Just like you were saying, when we are drinking water, so we thank Lord. We are drinking water. It's His mercy that we have the water. So thanking Him every time we are doing anything. So we just thank Him. Even in our distress, also we thank Him.
Yeah.
Just like I was saying in the other time.
Yeah.
When I had health problems.
Yes. Good point.
I just thank Him a lot that due to these health problems, I have been chanting the Narshinga Kavach and learning it so much. So even distress, even anything, we have to thank the Lord for His mercy. It's always His mercy everywhere.
Yeah, and because of that, we also have picked it up because you chant it every day, and now we are able to pick it up. It's really amazing. I never thought we would ever have that opportunity. So we have to be really thankful a lot to the Lord. So amazing.
Then we have to be thankful for Kavi. It's just a way of saying thankful because we are having for so many months now. We are all together associating and hearing your beautiful seminars, and have to be thankful for God for everything.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Let's see if Sunita. Thank you, Karuna Mataji. Sunita, do you have any questions, Sunita?
Oh, Hare Krishna.
How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm just taking it because I'm a new member of the group, so I'm just taking it. I think it's absolutely amazing what you are doing for the Krishna consciousness. So I'm just sort of learning as we're going along. It's absolutely fascinating.
So are we, you know that.
The real fascinating Saturday with the spiritual journey was absolutely amazing. It just makes you think a lot of, taking things for granted and not thinking too much of the material life. So I found that absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yes. No, thank you. I know you've got questions about the worship of demigods and how that so perhaps if we have time, we'll tackle it tomorrow. Are you joining tomorrow?
I should be, all being well, yeah.
Okay. We'll try to tackle it tomorrow if there's time. Otherwise, we'll definitely have a session for that at some point.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for diving in so much. Because your mother, Savitri, she used to love coming to the temple. We remember her very much. So.
Yes, yeah.
And it's good you're following in the same footsteps.
Yeah, and I can see why she's drawn to you. She's really drawn, it's just amazing, the following.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we can, unless there's any comments or questions, we can shift to, Indulekha Mataji, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maji.
a quick question. So when you said that when we give donation, we should not expect anything, right? That I understand.
Yeah.
But if we are taking knowledge from someone and we give donation, there is no price. It's just like we want to give a donation because we have been listening to some maybe Bhagavatam or Bhagavad classes. So
Yes.
how do you,
Yeah.
is that like giving a donation to expect something, or
No.
how does it work?
Definitely not. Definitely not. That is actually, in order for Vedic knowledge to transfer, there's two things that need to be done. In fact, there's more, but two main things. One, the person giving the knowledge is giving it with their heart. It's not with no expectation of any reward. So ideally, like our Bhagavatam classes in the temples, you don't have to pay to go. You are getting knowledge. You the speaker is giving out of his heart. But that knowledge becomes very potent. But what makes it even more potent is when the person who's listening or taking, the student, is accepting that knowledge within the heart. And at the end, what will transfer that knowledge from the teacher to the student will be the Guru Dakshina. And
that is, okay, go ahead.
And that is a duty. It's not something that is an expectation or is in the mode of passion. It's actually the duty of the student to give some dakshina to the teacher. And it is according to the ability of the student. It's not that this course is for 500 rupees or 500 pounds. That becomes actually more like a act in the mode of passion, a little bit like a business transaction. But Vedic knowledge cannot transfer in that scenario. This is what Guru Maharaj taught us, that when you hear a lecture from somebody, especially a Bhagavatam lecture of the Vyasa-san, you always give a donation, because that knowledge will transfer only if you give Guru Dakshina. And you want that knowledge because it's spiritual knowledge. So that is definitely not within the three modes of material. It's not even goodness, it's pure goodness.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
That's interesting. Yes, it does. It does. I know it makes sense, but when you said that we should not expect, that's why, because we are expecting the knowledge, right? That's why we're giving this.
Yeah, but it's spiritual, right? It's spiritual knowledge.
Yes.
So that is beyond the three modes of material nature. Yeah. It's beyond.
Okay. Also, a little experience that happened to me last year. That when I was in the UK, like, I spent summer there, or you know that, but this year, because of COVID, I couldn't go. So I was at the park with her, and we were walking around, and coming out of the park, there was no rain, there was nothing on the road. I just fell face forward on the floor, on the ground, and
really,
I had my lips broken, my forehead, and I was like, in a bad shape. And I just thought, what has happened? And I stood up, and I took my glasses and all, and I just folded my arms and said, thank you, Krishna, because it could have been worse.
Yes, good. Wow, amazing.
That's what you should be saying, because I could have broken a leg or get a concussion on my head or something. But yeah, I just say thank you, Krishna.
That's so positive. Actually, that's very practical, and thank you for sharing that experience, because that's a very good example for the devotees.
Yeah, it should not be like screaming why it happened to me, why it didn't happen to someone else. But because my karma, my bad karma, which was less, I should have got more maybe.
Yeah,
that's what I say. Yeah.
Very good. No, that's actually very practical. I really appreciate you sharing that. And devotees should share like this, because that helps others also
to understand why we are saying that, and why we should not be like Karuna was saying the other day, one of the friend was saying, let's go to somebody, he will give you this and that. And that's why, because we know this is our karma. We have to go through it. And maybe we've done something wrong in our past life and we have to pay for it. So it's here.
Good. Yeah, very good. Good point, Margie. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Very important. Okay, so let's go to the Nishinga Kavach. See. Yeah. Okay. So, Karuna.